I didn't know if I had to restart the recording first to go live or what. So sorry for the awkwardness here. Okay, it does seem we are live on YouTube, so I'm going to send the link to the VL. I had to restart the recording first to go live. And I'm going to mute myself. Let's not have an echo.
While we're waiting, y'all, this is my dizzy ass got out of bed and did this look. And Alex said, no. I said I was dizzy. And he said, you're fine.
All right, so we are live on YouTube. Welcome to the finale of YouTube Survivor 9, Quest of the Seven Keys. We are here with our final two and our lovely jury. Say hi, everybody. All right, so how this is going to work, Eric, since you won final individual immunity, you will have the opportunity to choose whether or not you or Zach will go first in the opening speech. The person that goes first in the opening speech will go last in the closing speech. And you will have 4 minutes to give your opening speech. We will then have 8 minutes per juror. So we will start from the first juror who's not here. So really, Brian will be the first juror to speak. Brian will have 8 minutes to interact with the jurors however much that he wants to. He can ask both of you questions. He can ask one of you questions. He can do whatever he wants to. He can end his timer. And if he does that, we will move on to the next person. After 8 minutes, you're done speaking. I'll have the timer put up to the my screen, and I'll start yelling at you. So and then the closing speech will also be 4 minutes. Sorry. So without further ado, Eric, who is going to be going first with the opening speech?
I would like to go first for the opening speech.
All right, that means Zach, you will go first for the closing speech and second for the opening speech. Let me pull up my timer here. I'm going to need this a lot tonight. All right. So take it away whenever you're ready.
All right. First off, jury, I want to thank you guys for making this my first org experience as fun as it was. You know, you all came out of the game or came out of the fence like swinging for the fence with your bats. I'm really nervous tonight because this is my first org. This is my first final travel council, but you guys made this a really fun experience. That's what I wanted to say. I want to address the elephant in the room when talking about my game. Out of 140 votes cast in this entire season, not a single one of them said Eric. And if you want to exclude all of the times where I was immune and I couldn't be voted for, that's still 89 times that I was eligible and I didn't receive a vote. And you might be wondering, how did I do that? You know, how did I accomplish that impossible task? How did I get to the final 7 being the only person left in the game with 0 votes to my name and then make it another 5 rounds with that title? Well, a lot of it was luck. Some of it was because of my allies like Zach R, but most of it was because I was able to adapt. I came into this game knowing nobody, but I had such strong social bonds that when it came to the post swap, the other tribe wanted to throw the challenge to keep me specifically in the game. In the post swap, I emerged and I was on a massive minority. I ingratiated myself with the Napsters so they would keep me in the game. In the early merge, all of my targets were getting safety. They were reverting the round back. They were leaving tribal council. They had idols. They had immunities. So I had to prepare, and I sent my other targets home after them. In the final 10, when Josh, one of my closest allies, gets sent home, I'm at the bottom of the game. But by the final 9, I'm at the top again. I'm ruling the game again. And then at final 8, when we have the auction, everybody has these advantages. Everyone has idols and immunities. Everyone's safe. I have to come up with contingency plans in case people play all of those advantages at once. So I get the most number of votes on Jazzy. I get the second number on Brandon. I get the third on Zach R to make sure that there are 3 people in front of me that are receiving votes and they're not me. At final 7, when Max says, Eric, I don't want you to win in the final 2, and I'm going to tell the jury that I don't want you to win in the final 2, I use that to my advantage. I tell everybody, look, I'm not a threat. Like, you shouldn't worry about me. And because nobody's paying attention to me at the final 6, I'm able to do whatever I want. So I take a big shot at Zach D. It didn't work out, but it didn't matter in the long run because in final 5, I'm still not targeted. I still don't receive votes. I win the last 2 immunities. I put so much effort into those. I had to face a lot of downs and ups in this game, but the one thing I did better than everybody else in this cast, was I adapted. Zach, I want to say real quick, we did this. I'm so proud that I got to play this game with you. You know, we came in day 1 and had our final 2, and we made it all the way here. I'm very proud of us, and I wish you good luck. Thank you, guys.
All right. So, Zach, whenever you are ready, start speaking and we'll begin your 4-minute timer.
Hi, Jerry. I came into this game a bit unsure of my strategy or how I would do in my first ever Survivor org. I've never seen an episode of Survivor, so I really didn't know what to expect. The initial rounds were a bit of a struggle, believe it or not, as my tribe won immunity challenges round after round, which sounds great, but it was really actually an issue because it was hard to form bonds with the people on my own tribe because there was no game to talk whatsoever, so it was hard to make those connections. So we ended up moving into a swap, and I came into the swap with a group of white ladies that I really didn't have much trust with aside from Lauren, Eric, and Josh. And Lauren and Eric were the 2 that ended up getting swapped away. So I had to adapt and build connections with the remaining white ladies as best that I could, which wasn't easy. The first tribal that the white ladies attended was the one where I was able to pull off my first move of the game, which was getting out Kevin. Kevin was a very social and strategic player in the game, and I knew that he had to be taken out as soon as possible, especially before the merge. The other options for the vote were Chloe and the Legend, who were 2 people that I wanted to work with and keep on the side as allies outside of the white ladies, because I knew that the time would come down the road when I would need to break off from the white ladies and play my own game. To my dismay, as well as Josh's, the vote was on Chloe all day until the very last hour before Tribal, when Kevin made the mistake of messaging me that Pete's name was out there as a potential vote. At this point, I was looking for any way I could to try and throw Kevin's name out there while also forming trust with my allies. So I immediately ran to Pete and told him that Kevin was saying his name. Pete and I then called, and Pete told me that Kevin had told him that the Legend was saying his name. Voting the Legend was not good for me at all, but Pete naturally wanted to switch the vote onto the Legend since he thought he was after him. I did my best to stop him and protect the Legend, who I hoped would be a number for me down the road. I told Pete that Kevin was likely lying and trying to cover his own tracks because he had actually started to say Pete's name first. I had no clue if this was true or not, but I needed to try and get Kevin's name out there somehow. Talking ensued between me, Brandon, Pete, and Josh, and we came together to blindside Kevin in the first vote we participated in, which was a key move for me as Kevin was someone who had shown little effort to work with me and was someone who I knew would be a roadblock for my game later down the line. Moving into Merge, I was in danger from the very start. I was being told that Jackie was pushing my name as the counter vote, and that my own white lady ally Jazzy was in on the plan to vote me out. Thankfully, I'd already been putting in work with those outside of the white ladies, such as Zach, Mac, and the Legend, which would pay off, and my connections would help me to survive that vote without any votes against me. But once I heard that Jazzy was willing to vote me out, I knew that my time to jump ship from the white ladies was coming very, very soon. So I had to work extra hard on certain connections and just strike at those connections that were much weaker when I could, which is how and why I decided to get the vote onto Brian. The white ladies were in agreement that the Legend had to go, which I knew was not good for my game at all. So I got on call with the white ladies and used information that both Zach D and Eric had given to me to push my agenda. I told them that the Legend was going to use an idol and that Brian was purposely telling people to vote for the Legend so that the Legend could nullify all of the votes and get a white lady out instead. It only took a couple of minutes for me to get my way in that vote, which is an extremely pivotal vote in my game because I knew that Brian was extremely well connected to both sides, but not to me. I knew that he had strong connections to Zach D, Eric, Brandon, the Legend, etc. And I knew that him going would allow Zach D, Mac, the Legend, have to rely on me even more so than before, which is my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal in this game, especially through Merge, was to cut people with the most connections so that they would be forced to rely on me even more so. And that's what I did in that vote. For the rest of the Merge, I made sure to keep my connections with non-white ladies alive in preparation for when the time would come for me to flip on them. I flipped at the opportune moment once Josh was out of the game, and I used Josh going home as a means to get myself in with the non-white ladies even more so than before. Once I got both of my intended targets out at Live Night, Jesse and Jazzy, out back to back, it cleared my pathway to Final 2 with Eric from that moment onward. I had a lot of information in this game coming from all sides, and I used it to my advantage whenever I best saw fit. I also kept a lot of information to myself when I knew that it was best not to share it. I protected allies that were best to keep around for my own personal game, but
4
no one
minutes
else's.
is up. We are going to have to cut you off there. There is a closing speech, so you will have an opportune moment to say whatever else you needed then. But with that being said, Jackie was the first juror. Jackie is not here. Jackie did ask a question and received your responses. So we are going to move on to our second juror, which is Brian. Brian, you've got 8 minutes. If you start going over, I'll start yelling at you. So yeah, whenever you start speaking, we'll begin your 8 minutes.
Okay, well, first and foremost, can you final two hear me? That's the first thing. No? Yes? It's not off to a good start. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't see you, so speak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay, so first, after that, I want to congratulate you both. I can't see you because like I'm on Zoom, so speak to me. If I address you, I only want one at a time. Don't fight over that. But first and foremost, I was out of the game pretty early, so in the merge, I don't know like much about your games, but like I want to give to preference this question. The first person I ask will have 10 seconds. I'll count on my hands. The second person will have 5 seconds because they'll have more time to think about the answer. So, Eric, I will ask you this question. Zach, you'll have the same question afterward, but only 5 seconds. So keep that in mind. Eric, please describe your game in one word.
Adapting.
Okay. Zach?
Sneaky.
Sneaky? Okay. Both valid answers. So, Zach, in your opening speech, you said that like you didn't have the connections with me and you saw me as like connecting with a lot of people. But the thing is, we just met at Merge, but like I don't want to take communication is a two-way street. But why did you not want to work with me come to Merge? Because I was reciprocative to work with anybody, and I did vote you. So I might sound like a hypocrite, but I didn't want to vote you. It was just where my alliance was going. But like, why didn't you? Did you want to work with me, or like was it all facade? Like, and you're always planning to like get me out at some point?
I absolutely wanted to work with you because I knew that you were in a really strong position in the game. Eric and Zach D were both telling me that they were very close to you. And I was honestly envisioning a point in the game where maybe you, me, Eric, and Zach D could come together as like a 4 in the middle of the game and really do a lot of damage together. That was something that I really hoped could potentially happen. But every time I honestly spoke to you, I felt like there was a disconnect. Responses were not so fast. I remember we spoke one night about our different jobs, and then a couple nights later I mentioned my job again and you asked me where I had worked, and we had already been over that like 2 nights earlier. So it kind of just felt like we didn't have a great personal connection, and that our conversations at some points weren't really meaningful, I guess, in the nicest way. So I felt like I wasn't much of a priority to you, and I knew that a lot of people felt really good with you. So honestly, knowing the position you were in the game, I was threatened by it. So I had to take a shot at it when I could. And that moment that I described in my opening speech was the moment, and it worked, I guess.
I want to address that. I'm a very forgetful person. I'm a stoner, and it's like that's not the only thing. I've also like deal with a lot of stuff, so I forget a lot of things. So if I with your job, like, I still remember it, but it's not that I don't like you or I don't care about you. Like I really do care, but I'm just very forgetful. So I hope you understand that. And regardless who I vote for tonight, it's not personal for the person I don't vote for. I want to vote for who I think deserves, who played the best game, who I think deserves the win. So with that being said, I want to ask you both this question now. That question was just for Zach. I'm going to use all my time. Like, I don't want to waste any time. So I'm usually very nice, and I want to be a little messy this final try was a juror. So I'm going to allot you both the same amount of time. So I'm going to like cut you off if I feel you're going too long. Eric, you're going to go first this question. But please do your best to say your opponents, like what their worst move of the game was, or what they did wrong, their mistakes in the game were. And like, don't do anything personal. Don't say anything personal, because if you do that, I will immediately vote for the other person, because personal attacks, not my thing, not anyone's thing. I don't think that deserves. So Eric, please say what Zach's mistakes in the game you think were.
I think Zach's biggest mistake in the game was not taking enough risks. I said it before in the videos that I sent to you guys. He played a very safe game. I think a great example of that was at the Final Six. I think it was best for both of our games at that point if Zach D goes out. Up to that point, he had been really pushing against that happening. He was thinking, oh my gosh, like what if Legend throws his vote? What if Zach D throws a vote? There's ways that I could tie. There are like all these different situations. But at that point in the game, we have to take that shot. We have to use that opportunity. We have to take that risk. And if things go wrong, if Zach D doesn't go home and we're exposed, we should have a good enough social game. We should have a good enough strategic game to get past it and still be okay in the final five, which is exactly what I did. So that's the thing that I think Zach D or Zach R should have worked more on throughout the game, is just taking bigger risks.
I would say that Eric's biggest, I can't think of the word, not because it's not a mistake or anything, but like he was very tunnel visioned in his what he wanted to get done this game at certain points. He was very set on getting the legend out and Zach D out pretty much round after round for the entire first half of Merge. And I had to consistently tell him, no, I don't think that's the move. It doesn't make sense. I can work with them. We can work with them. And I think I was eventually right in that, because they both ended up coming all the way to final six with us, and they were pretty loyal to us. So, or at least with me. So he was very tunnel visioned in wanting them gone round after round after round. I had to consistently tell him, no, there are other people who should be going first. And I just think that he had his mind set for a really long time, and it was hard to change his mind off of what he wanted.
You're on mute, Brian.
Thank you, Alex. So there's like 2 minutes left. So Zach, this question's only for you. Had you won that final challenge, do you take Brandon, or are you still in the same scenario where you're against Eric?
I do take Eric, because when I give someone my word, and I'm not saying necessarily I'm not voting you, when I give you my word and I make a deal with you, I stick to it. I made a deal with Eric at the start of this game that he was going to be my final two, and my entire game, that was my goal at the end of the day. And I think Eric is an incredible competitor, and I would love to be sitting here with him. And if I lose to him, so be it. I'm just glad to be sitting here with him, because I gave him my word, and that's what I wanted the entire time.
Well, thank you both for both your answers. With my questions, I have not decided yet. I will be listening into what all the other jurors have to say, since they had more viewpoints of your game. But I promise you and all of Prod that I will vote who I believe deserves to win this game. And it's nothing against the other person. You both played swell games, and I respect you both. And I hope we can all continue to be friends and get to know each other, even though I might forget after the season. All right. So with that, Alex and Prod, it was great for having me. I will be listening. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. So we are going to move on to our third juror in 11th place, and that is Allie. So Allie, whenever you start speaking, I'll start your timer. You've got 8 minutes. Go for it.
All right. Well, I'll start off with saying congratulations to both of you. You both played a great game. So far, I came into this knowing, or I had a feeling I knew what I was going to do, but now I want to hear both of you out. So my first question for both of you is, what move was significantly your own? And any one of you can start.
I'll start, I guess. The move that I think was my own was getting out Jesse and then Jazzy during live night, because I was the first person to say Jesse's name for that round, because I knew that Jesse going was best for my game personally, because I knew that Jesse had a lot of connections. People were telling me they didn't want to vote her. Zach D said that he didn't want to vote her. Mac said it. Pete said it. It was just, she was very connected. But I went to Mac and we called that night, and I told him that if we wanted to get to Jazzy, which was the ultimate target for both me and Mac because of her social connections, that we had to get Jesse first. And I started that call with Mac, and Mac was saying, I don't want to do Jesse. I'll do, this person, this person, this person. I don't want to do Jesse. And we left that call saying, how are we going to get the votes on Jesse? So I think I started that round completely, and I was the one who got that movement to getting Jesse out first in that 5-4 vote. If that vote went the wrong way, it was pretty much over, I mean, not necessarily over, but that was a really important vote that I think I led and I really pushed for. And then right afterwards, we got Jazzy out. And as amazing as Jazzy is, she was not good for my game at that point, and I had to get her out that night at that moment. And that was all mine and not Eric's.
I would say the final six, that didn't end in success. So instead, I'll choose the final 11, the point where you were voted out. Going into that round, my two top targets were Jesse and Legend, because those were two people I talked to the least at that point in the game. So I made sure that one side was going for Legend, one side was going for Jesse. Those were the two targets. And that was basically what was going to happen. And then we get to tribal council, and Jazzy tells me, I told Allie that the vote is for Jesse. And then Jesse stands up and says, I'm leaving tribal council. Goodbye, everybody. And she left. And it was at that moment where I realized, Jazzy's really, really, really close to Allie. I knew like you guys had a connection, but that really solidified it for me. So I really pushed for everybody at once to vote for Legend. I really wanted him, if he had an idol, I wanted him to go. Also, a note about that, I know Zach, when he was answering Brian, said that it was better for Legend and Zach D to stay in the game because they would be loyal. I think it was better to target them because they had 3 idols and 2 advantages between them. And if I'm not targeting them, they don't have to use any of those things in the early merge. So I wanted to make sure if Legend isn't going home, if he's using an idol, who's the next target going to be? So I say to Zach R, I'm throwing my vote onto Allie because at that point, Allie just became a threat to me because she's also close to Jazzy. And then once I start hearing, Pete's voting for Allie now Josh is voting for Allie, now both of the Zachs are doing it. Suddenly there's 5 votes on Allie, 4 votes on Legend. And I know I think I explained this in one of the videos, but I was like, I don't want Allie to have the majority. I don't want her to be my first target. I want Legend to get targeted first. So I switched my vote to Legend. He had to play his idol at that tribal council, but even when he did, my next target, you, went home. So that round overall was my probably most successful round in the game.
Okay. My next question, it's kind of a fun one. It kind of just came to me randomly earlier, but my question is, if you can compare your game to any Survivor contestant, who would that be?
I've never seen Survivor, so I don't know. I can say a Big Brother contestant, but that's not the same really. But I can say,
Big Brother works too.
maybe an like a BB3 Jason, because he was doing a lot, and people saw what he was doing, but they kind of let it continue even though they knew it. And I think that in this game, a lot of people knew what I was doing. I mean, I got at final 10, the touchy subjects, I got, running the game, who's running the game. And that was at final 10, and I'm still here. So I think that, because people knew what he was doing and they kind of let it go unnoticed for a while, I think there's some similarities there. I don't know. I'm sorry. I wish I had a Survivor player I could pick, but
It's okay.
Is it okay if I also do Big Brother?
Yeah, sure.
So I think the closest person I can think of is actually Cody in his All-Star 2 game, because he very similarly played a perfect game. He never touched the block there. I never received a vote in this game. And he was very clearly running things from Final 9 onwards. I was very clearly in the best position in the game, but nobody wanted to take a shot at me. And, even if you look at the minute details, like the final 3 vote where he's between 2 of his closest people in the game and he has to make that really tough decision, I was put in a very similar situation in this game. So I think our games align a lot when you compare us.
All right. And this one kind of just came to me for my last question. Out of all the jurors, who do you think you have for sure for votes? I thought it was kind of a juicy one.
I don't know, it's a hard. I think I have the Legend for sure. He and I were really close, and we had a really good connection, and he knows that I was protecting him round after round after round, and I'm a big reason why he even made it as far as he did. So I think I have the Legend for sure.
Okay.
I think a lot of people came throughout the game were saying that Zach and Josh were a super, super close, powerful duo in the game. I don't think anybody realized that me and Josh more than likely talked more than him and Zach. So I think coming into this tribal council, I was always thinking that Josh is my most likely vote.
Okay. Well, that's all I have, but congrats to both of you. My vote's really up in the air right now, but I'm proud of both of you, and you both played a great game. And also, Prod, thank you again for casting me. It's been a wonderful season.
All right, thank you so much, Allie. All right, so we are now going to move on. Speaking of Josh, here we are with the next juror, Josh.
I was gonna
Right.
say, Eric, we shall see, we shall see. The night is young. So no, but first of all, I have to say that I am so happy with the final two this season. We, the three of us, were very close from very early on in this game. And regardless of whatever other relationships the two of you had in this game, you two were always my closest allies in this game from pretty much the beginning. So I'm very proud of both of the games that you played. And I'm really happy that at least 2/3 of our alliance made it to the final. So, I think that you both played very, very strong games in different ways. And it was interesting to see at the round table, a lot of the discussion revolved around the choices that you made. And were they the same? Were they different? So I'm going to ask a bit about some choices and we'll see what we can get. So I had to write it down because a lot has gone on today. So I'm going to forget my questions. But basically, I sort of it's like the same question, but like opposite sides of the question. So I think like, what was the biggest choice or the best choice that you made that got you to the end? Like, what is that one moment that you can pinpoint that you can look back at and say, when I made this decision, this is what got me to the final two seats? But also on the flip side, what is the decision that you made that had the biggest negative impact on your game to get here? And I guess it doesn't really matter who goes first, but I guess Eric, you can go first.
I think the moment I knew I was getting to the final two, or I had a really, really good shot of getting to the final two, was when Mac went home. At that point, Mac and I were sitting side by side in the best position in the game. I know we talked a lot about how we were at the bottom and we were in the worst position, but the entire time I was thinking, we're in control, we're in the driver's seat. So I knew once Mac went home, I would be the only one there. And then once Mac said what he said at Tribal Council about how he didn't want to vote for me, being able to use that to my advantage so well, really just like cemented like nobody's going to target me from here on out. I'm more than likely going to be sitting in the final two seats. The decision that most negatively impacted my game was probably if it wasn't voting out Lauren, it was probably at the final 10. I did take a risk with my vote in the original vote by throwing my vote into Brandon because I wanted to get information. I told you guys about that in the video that I sent. But I think in hindsight, I should have put a vote onto Jesse or somebody else that I thought would be more likely to get votes so that you would have been protected at that final 10 revote.
I think that, right, what was the first question here?
What choice do you think you made that like directly impacted you sitting there? Like, what is the one thing that you can pinpoint?
I honestly think that the moment that I talked to Mac and got him to flip to vote Jesse, and then the rest of the round happened where we spoke to other people and got the vote on Jesse. I think the moment that 5-4 vote was read and Jesse went home, that was the moment when I felt very confident that I was going to make it here. And I know that was a really long time ago, but at that point, I felt like I had secured the numbers. I secured my trusted allies. I knew at that point that I could trust the people I had voted with. I knew where people like Pete and Jazzy and Brandon stood. I just felt very comfortable at that point. And I saw a clear pathway to making it here at the end. The decision that most negatively impacted my game was absolutely not telling Zach D that he was being voted and not doing something to try and stop that vote, because the whole time, that whole round when I knew Zach D was getting votes, I didn't want to do it. I knew it was horrible for my game. Him going was so bad. I was so happy when he idled himself, but I was kicking myself for not telling him about it because I should have, because I trusted him, he trusted me, and I should have been telling him what was going on so we could have done something to prevent it. Because if I knew that he had that idol, we could have made a bigger move together with that idol. But I made the mistake of not coming to him and telling him that, and it could have really ruined my game. But thankfully, Zach D was a very forgiving person, and he allowed me to explain myself and where I was coming from, and we ended up being super close for the rest of the game. But had he not been so understanding, I could have been walking out the door the next round. But thankfully, that wasn't the case.
Okay. How much time do I have left? Just
You're at 4:49 right now.
Okay. I'm trying to think if I have anything else, because I had a third question, but you both sort of answered that question within your answers for one of the other questions. So I don't know that I really can ask it, because you kind of answered that sort of in the same way. Like, I was going to ask you, like, if there was a choice that you would make differently, but you both sort of explained in the choices that negatively impacted your game, like that you would make different choices. I think I'm just going to like just sort of make a statement to the rest of the jurors. I think I was very vocal in the roundtable last night, sort of about how I felt about each of your games. And I think that there is still a lot of misunderstanding and sort of just not quite seeing the full picture. So I think if what I can tell you guys about the jurors that are coming up is just make sure that you own your games, make sure that you're very clear about the intention behind the moves that you made, and make sure that you are being open and upfront about it, because I think some of the jurors who are next to me in line are feeling a little like not heard and not sort of seen in the games that they played and the way that things went when they were leaving the game. So I think in order to get some of these jury votes, you have to really be honest about your game and really look at it from the perspective of us and what, you know, how we sort of are feeling in the moment, because I think that's going to be really important. And again, I want to say congratulations. I'm very, very happy for the both of you. And this was a great season overall. And I have to applaud the production team, because this was a lot of fun. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Josh. All right, so the next juror, which was Jesse, submitted a question to you guys, and you guys answered. So we will have Jesse submit a vote. But now we will move on to Jazzy. So Jazzy, as soon as you begin speaking, we'll begin.
Hello, final two. Congratulations on making it to this point. Great to see two white ladies sitting there at the end. I know I wasn't always the most loyal white lady, but I had a pleasure getting to know both of you. And I definitely, my vote is not set. I think you're both played very great games. And I want to know, what moves do you think really set you two apart from each other?
I think that the moves that set us apart are the ones we did on our own. And I think I've explained a number of the ones that I did on my own. I can, explain them again. But I think that, it was the fact that throughout this game, throughout all of Merge, I was constantly setting myself up with side allies to make sure that I was closer to people than Eric was, and that I could have those people as closer allies, like the Legend and Zach D. I had them much closer to me than they were to him, and that's why I was continuously protecting them and making sure that they were on my side and not his. And I was playing a game for myself. I knew that keeping the Legend and Zach D wasn't best for him. I knew that, but for me, it was. So I continuously told him, we have to keep them. We have to keep them. Did he have to? Absolutely not, because I knew he was playing a totally separate game than me. He was much closer to, people like you, Jazzy, for example, than I was. And I was one who was pushing for you to go. And he kind of, voted in that line of what my reasoning was, even though I knew that it wouldn't, be best for his game. But I made moves on my own that he didn't really have part in. Getting the vote on Jesse, he didn't have part in that. Voting out, getting the white ladies to flip on the vote onto Brian. He wasn't even on that call when that happened. He was told afterwards that the vote was going to be on Brian, and he was just like, okay. So there were moves that I did and votes that I made happen that he wasn't even a part of. And I think those are the moves that set us apart.
I think basically my answer is the inverse of that. The fact that I knew that Legend and Zach D were such strong opponents in the game for me personally, and the fact that I went after them round after round, and I made sure that they always had the majority of the votes. But even if they played somebody else that I wanted to go home still went home. That was what really set me apart. I think actually in general, I did more backup plans than Zach. Zach was very, this is my one plan, I'm going to do this. I always had contingencies. So if things went wrong, there's 8 advantages in the game. There's 5 idols. There's a lot that can go wrong. So making sure that, at final 11, Jesse's able to walk out of tribal council. My next 2 targets are getting votes. At the final 9, making sure that Zach R isn't getting the votes, talking to Brandon and saying like, no, like you guys, we both came to a consensus, like, no, we shouldn't have you guys voting for Zach R. You should vote for Zach D instead. That was kind of what I did a lot throughout from Final 9 onwards, was just making sure that Zach R wasn't the vote from the other side. I did do that at Final 8 because Zach D and Legend were both safe, so he was really the only option. But at Final 7, I said, no, you guys have to vote for Zach D. At Final 6, I said Zach D, and I kept pushing it for these other people to keep Zach safe in the game. So that's, Zach made these really close connections with Legend and Zach D. I can't say that I did the same, but I made really close connections with everybody else in the game to make sure that he was still protected, because that was one part of his game that he was failing to do.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to say again, congratulations, and you guys answered my questions. My other question was, I think for Josh, I think already covered this, was what the biggest move you made for your game was, the biggest move you made, and I think you guys covered that already. A lot of the questions I had to already be asked, so just enjoy being in Final 2. Congratulations. I know you're both very new, just like I am, to orgs, and it's great to see that you guys got to the end. So congratulations once again, and best of luck to you both.
All right, thank you so much, Jazzy. All right, so now we are going to move on to our next juror, which would be Mac.
Hello, hello. Can people hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Hello, it is me. I got 7th place, and I am the self-proclaimed fallen angel. I want to congratulate both of you with peace and love. My main question, if it takes over the time, then I'll just have this one question. But something fun I would like both of you to do is either say out loud or maybe type in the chat. I would like you to rank the, 11 jurors? That's so many. The 11 jurors based on who you felt played the best game in your eyes. This is to test your game awareness and to see what's the tea, Who do you think played great? Who do you think was kind of eh? That is what I would like both of you to do.
We have to type that out. That's a lot.
Yeah. I'm just going to sit here and look pretty.
While they're typing, this finale is sponsored by Evie. She's on the bed. Well, not on the bed, she's on the pillow. It is sponsored by her.
Shout out to our 10 viewers.
Ooh.
This finale is also sponsored by by a company that provided one of the auction prizes, Olive Garden.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got everyone in that list. Yeah.
Okay. If you want, would you like to give a little explanation on people maybe at the top or people near the
bottom? So Zach D is at the top. I think he played an amazing game. I don't think I could have sat next to him at the end. I mean, he was he was the last non-white lady standing. He got voted so many times, never went home. Great comp beast, just amazing game. Brandon also great game. Brandon survived a lot, longer than I necessarily would have anticipated him to at a certain point in the game because he was in that minority at 5-4, yet he made it all the way to third place. He played a great game, super connected to Eric. I don't want to skip people and make them feel badly, but I can't explain everyone. And then I feel like Jackie, the legend, and Jesse are at the bottom because they didn't really have the best social games, from my understanding. The legend made it really, really far, but that's just because of idols and all that stuff. But socially, he was not there. Jackie, just really not socially great, from my understanding. And then the rest are, I can't address every single person. I'm sorry, I can address a certain one if you want, though. But
Eric, your turn.
So the people at the top, Mac, I knew once we had our first conversation together, and I left it thinking like, I love Mac. Like, I'm absolutely team Mac. Like, I want to work with this man. I knew when I left that conversation thinking that you were a really good social threat. You and I put ourselves in a very similar situation in the game. We were at the top of the game together. I think if I don't get rid of you at final 7, you have a lot of opportunities to take me out instead, and you probably sit here instead of me. Brandon and Pete are after that because I think they did something really well. Pete, because he used his advantages really well. There were a lot of times where he and Brandon were in trouble, but he waited until the exact right moment to use his idol on Brandon. Brandon, because he was able to get to the final 3 by making, I think, one of the most important connections in the game, which was with me. Near the bottom of the list, we have Jackie, Jesse, Legend, people, just like Zach said, who I think have lesser social games. Zach D might be a surprise to some people, but I think he was targeted a lot throughout the merge. And I think when you get to the point where you have to win a lot of immunities and you have to use idols, that's not very indicative of the best game.
Okay. How much time do I have left?
You have 3 minutes left.
Woo! More ear time. Okay. So I just want to say I may have said some words when I left because I kind of knew that it was only a matter of time before it was me being sent out the house. But I just want to say, like, love you both so much. I think either of you deserved to win. I think both of you played great games. One thing I wanted to mention is me voting Jesse. It was not smart for my own game. I can't lie. I think that actually both of you helped contribute in me flipping, because Zach was the one who kind of brought it up to me, and I'm like, I don't know. However, the 2 people that round that called me basically back and forth was Brandon and Eric. And Brandon was starting to sound a little delusional, and then Eric was just like, the thing about Eric was, I'm like, I don't know if I can trust him, but it's like, I'm just going to gamble, or I'm going to take the risk. It got my throat slashed at 7, which, I mean, if it happens sometimes. But I want to congratulate both of you. I hope that we, like, anyone in the jury, anyone pre-jury, final 2, prod, I'd love to continue talking outside the game, because I think both of you are just no, okay, sorry, Brandon, love you so much. Anyways, what else can I say? Mac for Rob Juror, I guess. Mac for Hero of the Season. Mac for Dumbest Move. Mac for All Stars, or Second Chances, or both. Who knows? Okay, love you so much, both of you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Congratulations on you two, even though you two are white ladies. Blah.
All right, thank you so much, Mac. All right, so the legend is not here, but has submitted a vote, so we don't have to worry about that. So with that being said, we are going to move on to our next juror, which is Pete. Pete, take it away.
Well, hello. I've thought a little bit on what I would ask you to, because quite frankly, at my exit, I'm sure both of you know, neither of you really excited me. Neither of you were really people I was rooting for. And I can say that just hearing your answers and just like hearing everything you guys are saying, I can say that my mind really has just, not changed. But moving forward from that, I will say maybe a little bit of advice and then maybe a question at the end. But so Eric, so for you, I don't know if it's just your amazing personality or maybe just our games not lining up, but I don't know. I think I said in the jury that you're like the like human embodiment of like a nap. So what I'm hoping to see from you tonight, and what I'm starting to like admittedly see, is that fire, that fight, that desire. Like, I want to know that you want to win this game, because I want to give my vote to someone who wants to win this game just as bad as I wanted to. And I'm seeing that, and I'm applauding how you're addressing questions and how you're kind of maneuvering around these, not trying to make yourself look perfect, but still highlighting what you did and didn't do. And then my statement to Zach R. Josh kind of hinted at it a little bit, but I don't know if it's just me being delusional, but I think maybe you are being a little, what's the word? Imaginative with your game. There are a couple moves that maybe you might have stretched the truth a little bit on, that maybe you had more influence on or not. But I'm not saying that means you're going to be a loser. I mean, Eric as well also, I think, had a really quiet game. And maybe both of you had votes where you were in the dark completely, you weren't part of it all, but you still move forward and you still know how to show the high points of your game. Namely the Brian vote. You keep taking credit for that. Stop. I remember in Jackie's question, you said how you were cultivating these relationships with the people on the bottom, which is probably true, but also you can't claim to be the champion of wanting to flip on the white ladies while consistently every round wanting to take out Jesse. And when the opportunity for a white lady to go home came up, Josh in the revote, you fought against that and you were in the dark for that. But anyways, to my question, because this is going on a little long. You're both really good at, showing your pearly whites, making everyone just feel loved and appreciated. So I'm curious, what is the one juror who you think did not deserve to make jury? The juror who you think got here maybe by a mistake and maybe just kind of waltzed their way into here and now they're on the jury. Thank you.
I can start with this. My answer is immediately Legend. I don't think he gets nearly as far in the game as he did without all of his advantages and his idols. He didn't have a great social game. He wasn't talking to people. I know, especially with me, like, our conversations would be like, who are you voting? And I would say, I'm voting for X. And he would say, okay, cool, me too. And that's not how you play the game. That's not how you develop strategic and social relationships with people. So if there's one person that I don't think deserved to be on the jury, it was Legend.
I was also going to say Legend, but I'll change my answer then. I honestly think Jessie, and I know that some of y'all had a great relationship with her, but I know that every time I messaged her, I got a response of 2 words, maybe a sentence if I was lucky. I really didn't get anything from her, and I don't know how she got into the jury and so far into the jury with that, unless she was just only acting that way towards me. But she didn't, really do great in competitions. She didn't really talk to me really on that level. And my closer allies like Eric, I know she didn't talk to Eric like at all either. So I don't really know how she got so far into the game. I felt like her social game was really lacking, and I felt like she was someone who I'm just surprised she didn't go pre-jury if that was how she was talking to people all the time. But maybe it was just towards me and Eric. I don't know, but I know that it was that way towards us.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Closing statements. Yeah, I don't know how much longer I have left, but
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. Yeah. To both of you, stop being boring. Well, I know they said no personal attacks, but fight for it. I want to show. Yeah, Eric, do that. Zach, I think maybe hone in, and I think you're starting to do that, hone in on what you did. Maybe don't be as imaginative in your speech of what you did and didn't do. And yeah, I think my vote is still undecided. Maybe we'll go to a wheel. We'll see. But good luck. White Lady Strong.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next juror, which is Zach D.
Hello, hello, Final Two. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to both of you. I think out of the 21 people that played this game, you two are the most deserving to win this game, just from everything. So I'm very, very happy with this Final Two, and I'm very happy either way who wins. I have a couple questions. I'm going to start off with more not important one, but I'm a very visual person. I like putting everything down so I can see it in front of me. Did either of you have a spreadsheet to map out things during this game?
Yes, I had a spreadsheet.
I never had a spreadsheet, but production can tell you I would take little note cards out and I would literally draw like Venn diagrams and like have lines connecting people, and like I would post that in my production chat. Like, I think this is what the game is. Like, this is my reality. I remember specifically at the final 10 when Josh was voted out, I was like, guys, like, this is wrong. Like, I do not have the right map of the game. So like final 9, I had to like make a whole new map. But yeah, I basically had like the same thing.
All right, perfect. Love that. I'm going to get into more so, I want to see y'all talk about the jury a little bit. So my first question is, for both of you, who was the most impactful juror for your game in terms of who helped your game the most to get to this point?
I honestly think you, and that's not me trying to be like, oh, you're the one answering the question. I honestly think you, because you were, for pretty much almost all merge, you were my second closest ally behind Eric, and I trusted you 100%. I felt like we had a really good connection. If Eric wasn't here, you would have been my #1 ally. And you were a great shield. Honestly, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to keep you here. You were getting all the votes that I felt like Eric and I should have been getting. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted you here. It helped a lot votes wise, competitions wise, everything. So I think that you were a great part in getting me to this point in the game.
This is a really tough question for me. I think probably Brandon, because Brandon was really my connection to that entire side of the game. And so every round when they were trying to decide who they wanted to vote for, I would go to Brandon and I would say, I think it should be Zach D. More often than not, we would agree on that. And we would come up with plans and say like, okay, we have like these numbers and everything. But having that connection with Brandon meant that I always knew who both sides were going to vote for, and I could always kind of control who both sides were going to vote for. And when both sides are warring out like that, everybody's kind of ignoring me. So especially, you know, the epitome of that is bringing Brandon and Zach R, these two people who do not get along. They've been voting against each other all game, getting them all the way to the final 3, despite the fact that they've been, you know, shooting at each other, is all because I formed that connection with both of them so that they were aiming for each other's allies.
All right. My next question is, who is the most harmful juror to your game? Which one in the end hurt your game the most and was your biggest obstacle in getting to the end?
I think Jazzy. I think that Jazzy was the first of the white ladies to say my name. She was the most socially connected of the white ladies from my perspective. I was nervous about how we were going to get her out of this game because I saw the connection she had. I knew she was very close to Pete and Brandon, and I think that her connection to Pete and Brandon pulled them away from me a lot. I thought I was really close to Pete, and then next thing I knew I wasn't, but I knew that Pete and Jazzy were very close, so I think there's a connection there. So I think that Jazzy kind of took the allies that I thought I had or was trying to have, and it forced me to go to the other side, which was you, Zach D, and Legend and Mac, and really try to hang on to them because I couldn't work with, you know, Jazzy and them at that point ever since Jazzy was saying my name the first round of merge.
For me, I know I sound like a broken record, but it was absolutely Legend. when I'm looking at the game and I'm seeing like, okay, what decisions can I make? What votes can I set up? I'm assuming that everybody is playing for their own best interests. And that man or whatever he is never did that. Like literally didn't talk to anybody for the first few votes because he had all those advantages and idols. I assume he just thought he was safe. So he always just kind of like sent a rogue vote wherever he wanted. And that changed a lot sometimes throughout the rounds. And then, we get to final 9, he's on my side. Okay, I still not really talking with him. I still don't know where he truly lies. I don't know who he's talking to. And then final 6, my whole plan to get you out, Zach D, rests on him playing for his own best interests and using his idol on himself. And he couldn't even do that. So like him not playing for himself was the biggest obstacle that I had to get to the end of this game, especially because like, say you don't have school the next day at that Final 4 immunity challenge, you could have won that. And then Final 3, I don't know if you beat me at the plank or whatever, but you could have. And then me and Zach aren't sitting in the final 2. So like that final 6 round and basically everything that Legend did throughout the game was the worst for me.
Right. My next question, because I've been very undecided. I've been going back and forth throughout this entire thing. So I just want to hear, because I want to be a little selfish personally, why should I personally vote for either of you? Why should I be drawn to your game? Why are you the whitest of the ladies? Please tell me.
I think you should vote for me. You personally, obviously I'm just going to see you because I think you and I worked a lot more closely for the majority of Merge than you did with Eric, and you saw my game more closely than you saw Eric's, and you know what we did together and the moves that you and I both made hand in hand and how we kind of flipped the game on its head at the live night vote, the vote before live night, that whole area of the game. And you saw what we did, and you saw my loyalty towards you throughout the entire Merge, and unfortunately I had to change that at Final 4 when I had to vote you out, and that was a very hard vote for me, but I had to do it because I don't think I could have gotten here necessarily or won if you were here with me. But yeah, I think that the game I played pretty much because you were, other than Eric, you were my closest ally. So you saw what I did, you saw the moves that I made, and we made those moves together. Just like I made moves with Eric the whole game, I made moves with you for the majority of Merge. And I think that you would know that I'm deserving of this title.
You personally should vote for me because I don't know about you. Like, obviously you're younger than me, but you remind me of myself when I was in high school and I was playing these games with people. I think I played a slightly better version of your game. You said once that you were really good at physical challenges, and that's usually your downfall in these games. I'm so sorry, we're running out of time. But I'm usually good at physical challenges. I proved that Final 13, I proved that Final 4, Final 3. If I had shown that more, I would have been a bigger threat. And we both were really good at connecting with everybody in the game, but I did it just a little bit better. So you should vote for the person who played a little bit better than you.
All right, that's the 8 minutes. I'll let you say a final statement if you want to say a final statement, Zach.
Yeah, thank you both. I think I have my vote decided, but we'll see if that changes up a little bit more. Good luck, y'all.
Okay, and then we will move on to our final juror, which is Brandon. Brandon, go ahead.
Girl, I've been waiting for this moment all night. Hey guys, I honestly, before this, even though I did say I wouldn't vote for someone, I really had an open level head and I wanted to see both sides of the argument. Even though I do think I know your game's pretty much the best out of anyone in this jury, just because of me being in there the longest. It was very interesting. I have a few questions before I go into my spiel. I want to start with Zach R. Zach R, you say you pledged loyalty, and I really did trust you. I don't know if at Final 4, if you went with Zach D to vote me out, you would have broken that bond and that deal we made. But we then made a deal afterwards, saying to each other we were going to go into the final 2. And obviously, from the question you answered earlier, that was not your choice. So how can I see you as a loyal player when you just proved disloyalty by answering that you would have taken Eric after making a deal with me that round.
Totally understandable. If you think back to the conversation that we had when that was asked, you asked if I would like to, have that deal. And honestly, what was I supposed to say other than yes? I can't really tell you, no, I don't want to take you to the end. That's like saying no to being in an alliance with someone. You can't do that. If you think about how we had that conversation versus when we had the deal to not vote each other at Final Four, the deal we made to not vote each other at Final Four was so much more solid. We looked each other in the eye. We said, this is what we're gonna do. When I give my word, I stick to it. Well, it was like it was a whole thing. With the final two, it was kind of just like, yeah, sure. Like it was not as serious. And I hope you don't take that personally.
I
But
don't.
when I made that Final Four deal with you, and I looked you right in your eye, I said, when I give my word on a deal like that, I stick to it. And that is what I did. I wasn't voting you at 4, and I told you that. And I stuck to that deal. The other one,
was there a reason, by the way, that you made that deal besides wanting to make a deal with me?
Well, you suggested the deal. And again, I felt like I couldn't say no. And I also knew I wasn't voting you at 4. I knew I was voting Zach D at 4 before immunity was done, because that was just the time that I knew I had to take that shot at Zach D. So when you suggested a deal to not vote each other, I pretty much, one, I couldn't say no, because how can I say no? But I also was like, sure, because I knew I wasn't voting you anyway. And all that it guaranteed for me was that you weren't voting me either. So it totally was a deal that favored me and helped me. So I was totally fine making it.
Sounds good. Eric, I do want to say that ever since Final 9, I do want to relate your game to something you find in popular salads, a crouton. You're adored by most of the cast, and you play this wonderful social game by bonding with almost everyone. And just like a crouton, everyone likes you the most in a salad. The relevant part about a crouton is they're crunchy and sometimes soggy, and they leave bad taste in people's mouths. So as I'm trying to eat this crouton, I do have cancer. It did affect my swallowing issues. Why should I swallow the pill that you gave me after we did make a Final 2 deal very, very, very early in this game? And I definitely felt like, and I've said this to you to your face, I felt like the Danielle Tier Dan. I knew I could not trust Zach R. I knew I could not trust Zach D because I knew you guys were close. And I had to work with you. I was basically forced to, because you were the only one who gave me the time of day. But you took out all of my allies. And yes, that was a part of your game, and I applaud you for that. But it does not make me feel good that I have no chances left in this game besides working with you. And I feel pretty pissed as a juror, knowing that you say how I benefited your game so well. I kept you not going home on my side, but you did end up evicting me. I know I can't speak English well, but I just want to know why I should swallow this crouton, because it's a mighty big fat crouton.
Brandon, I was as loyal as I could have been in this game. I had 2 Final 2 deals. They were with you and with Zach R. So at Final 3, I'm breaking one of them. And at that point, that's the most crucial decision in the entire game, is who am I going to sit next to in the Final 2? And my loyalty at that point has to go to myself. It can't go to anybody else. It can't go to Zach R. It can't go to you. It has to go to myself. And I have to think, who can I beat at the end? And at the end of the day, you were the bigger threat. You were able to say, like, yeah, I didn't vote in the majority, but I also didn't vote out any of my allies. So all of your allies are feeling good about you. And I know I strung you along a lot throughout the game. I know I voted out all of your allies. But I know also that you're a very strategic person. I've seen you play T-Quester. You're someone who plays for yourself a lot of the time. And I think you should respect the fact that I played for myself in the Final 3. I made the ultimate selfish decision to bring the weaker competitor to the Final 2. You're muted.
Brandon, you're still muted.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't respect that, and I don't believe you. But we'll move on. I just want to ask you both to close your eyes. I want to close your eyes, and I want you to raise your hand when I say your name, the name, to see if you think you have that person to vote. I want to see how confident you are that you're going to win this game, because I feel like I cannot ask any more questions. Let's start. Do you think you're getting Jackie's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think, I don't, there's a list order, because this has been a lot. Let me just name people off the bat because of my hand. Do you think you have the Legends vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Jesse's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Brian's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Mac's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Jazzy's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Pete's vote? Raise your hand. Do you think you have Zach D's vote? Raise your hand. Now, finally, do you think you have the best vote of them all? Mine. Okay. How am I doing with time, Alex?
30 seconds, and I believe you forgot a juror.
Did I forget a juror? Who did I forget?
Josh.
You
Oh
forgot
my
Allie
God.
too.
That's embarrassing.
Oh, Allie as
Okay, close
well.
your eyes again. Let's
Sorry.
do it again. Josh, raise your hand. I already know the answer, but okay.
Allie as well.
Oh, I forgot. Okay, Allie too. Sorry, there's 11 to go. Okay. I just want to say, I hope none of this, my vote doesn't hurt any of y'all's ego. And I love both of you. And fuck you, Eric. Peace. Okay.
All right. So with that, we are going to be moving into the final speeches. So Zach, you went second in the opening speech, so you will go first in the closing speech, followed by Eric. You have 4 minutes. Let me reset the timer real quick. All right, whenever you start speaking, I'll begin your timer. Go ahead.
All right. I came into this game and I played the best strategic game that I could from start to finish. I put myself into positions where I could gather information, and I kept that information as close to my chest as I needed to, and I gave it out when I felt it was necessary. I tried my best to make connections with people on my original tribe and outside of there, and use those connections to my advantage the best I could. And when it came time for me to flip on people, I was in the majority and I had the numbers because of those connections that I made with people. I know the moves that I've made in this game, and I know the people that were coming for me, and they went out when I spread their name around and told people that I felt that they were the biggest threat in their game. I told people that I felt Jazzy was the most socially connected because I knew she was coming to me. I told people that round after round after round, and I made sure that people saw her as the threat that she was to me, maybe not necessarily to themselves. I did the same thing with Jessie. I told people that Jessie was super socially connected to other people, and I didn't know if she necessarily was or not, but at the end of the day, she wasn't with me, so it didn't matter. And I told people the same thing. When it came to people like Mac, I told people that he was playing the middle because I saw the game that he was playing. I exposed people's games to each other in an effort to make people see each other as bigger threats over me. I kept the biggest targets in the game as long as I could in Zach D and the Legend because I knew that they were on my side, even though they weren't necessarily on my ally sides. I was protected by those people who I knew had my back at the end of the day, and I got myself into a position where I felt confident and safe that I had a pathway to the end all the way from Final 9 onward. I know the moves that I've made. I never won an immunity challenge. I didn't need to. I didn't have any idols or anything. I didn't need to do anything like that in order to get to the end. I made it here on my own merit and my own abilities strategically and the moves that I made. And I hope you can reward me with the title because I know that I deserve it. I know that I fought my absolute hardest from start to finish in this game. And I know that I deserve to be here. Eric, good luck. It is a pleasure being here with you. You are obviously my number one the whole time, and there's no one else that I'd rather sit with here. And whatever happens, happens. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Zach. I'm going to reset the timer. Eric, you have 4 minutes. Begin when ready.
Alrighty, first I want to take the opportunity to answer the second part of Zach D's question about who is the whitest lady, because I literally made an alliance chat called the whitest ladies. But no, as you guys go off to vote for one of us to win, I want to leave you guys with a question. If you place me in another game in another cast, if you place Zach in another game in another cast, who gets to the final two? Is it me, who adapted to the game at every step, who received 0 votes, was never a target, and who won immunities, not because he even needed to, but to make sure that his targets didn't? Or does the person who plays safe, who says, I have these people who probably shouldn't even be here on my side, and I'm going to stick with them. I'm not going to talk to the other people as much because those are my people, and then ride it out with them. Does that strategy work more often, or does mine? That's basically what I want to leave you guys with. Again, this was an amazing season. I told production this already. This was an amazing experience for me. Jury, I love playing with each and every one of you. There's a lot of you on this cast that I want to be friends with outside of this game. Zach, good luck, but I hope I win. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Final Two. All right, with that being said, for this season, now is the time for y'all to cast your votes for the person that you would like to see win YouTube Survivor 9. We'll give you guys till 55 after, so that's another 8 minutes to submit your votes. Now it's time for you guys to do shout outs, call people out, do what you got to do.
I was robbed.
I'm just going to shout out to this amazing cast. Love everybody here. Yay, finale!
And the amazing prod team who made this all happen. Without them, none of us would be here.
Absolutely. Amazing prod team. We appreciate you guys all. You've done so much for us. We had the best time.
And hooray for a non-toxic season. At least not when I was there.
The season's not over yet.
Oh, not that.
Make it toxic right now.
I don't think the season was toxic at all. I mean, I think it was very mild. I kind of liked it.
I too, honestly. It was a great experience. So much fun. I love
ITS-10, we should all just return.
Yeah, bring us all back.
I got my thoughts, but vote read is about to happen, and reunion is going to be after that. The reunion is where I'm going to be spilling all my tea. So, and I've been waiting since the beginning of July to spill tea.
We run
into shout out requests. So I'm going to shout out Michael Davis and Seb Cordero. Love you both.
Shout out to Michael Davis and Seb Cordero. Love you guys. Also, shout out to DL.
And I want to make one final shout out again to the one person who is always there for me, Rachel. Thank you so much for helping me, especially going into this final tribal council. I know I needed some practice with questions and things, so thank you again.
Tell me she was in your project, Eric.
She was in my project since the very beginning.
I'm glad to hear it. Shout out to Zach.
Shout out to me to cutting probably the only person in the cast who was going to take me to the end, period.
I was going to say, can we shout Brian out for accidentally leaving the Zoom?
I can barely see in this.
Shout out to the pre-jury and Jackie, the early players. Don't give up, keep going. Just because you're out early doesn't mean that you are incapable of doing good at these things. It doesn't mean your ideas were not good. Just keep going and you'll get it eventually. Believe in yourself.
Pete got to merge, y'all. Can we get a round of applause for that? Yay.
Thanks.
Shout out to the white ladies for deciding that they just want to like steamroll the competition. And shout out to me to being desperate and basically somewhat transparent with my game, and people are like, thanks for your help. I'm like, period. Period. It's so good.
Shout out to Mac for official. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, shout out to Harry. Shout out to Mac for being the hottest on the cast, unquestionably.
Period. I think I look the best here. Maybe not at touchy subjects, but right here, I think I might be.
You're gonna say that. You're gonna say that when Ali's literally on this cast.
Nick, just kick rocks with peace and love. Kick rocks. Kick rocks. Anyway.
Alrighty. Ciao, anyways.
Shout out to Kevin.
Thank you.
Yes, shout out to Kevin.
Kevin's here. Holy shit.
I am here, yes.
Yes.
Kevin, you are definitely the most Rob pre-juror.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was very proud of my game up to that round.
Kevin and Chloe. Love you
We
guys.
can discuss it once a winner is crowned.
Yes.
I don't want to, you know, steal their
to,
thunder.
Shout out to the other tribe winning. The other tribe, my tribe winning at Final 14, because this would be a very different game if Eric was 14th instead of Final 2. Let's just put it that way.
Two more minutes.
I'm still waiting for the boo posts. Alex, please. I've been saying on my project for ages now. Where's the boo posts?
I'm so bad at it. I'm gonna write them all. I'm gonna eventually do it and do tributes solely. At least when I do it, I'm able to do a tribute like more in a more descriptive tribute now that you guys are gonna know everything. So
yeah.
I just got so behind, and especially, I don't know, especially like I just been very, especially, and the reason I've been behind on it is, and I'm going to talk about like more in the reunion when I talk about how I felt about the season. I just mentally, I literally was not, y'all know the fucking tea by now, but but when we get to, like I said, when we get to reunion time, when I tell you how I felt about the season, I'm gonna like explain more how it, but y'all know a little bit but how it really truly made me feel.
I honestly feel like this was a really fun cast. I can't say that I don't like anyone except maybe one person, but we don't have to worry about them. But besides that, like everyone in the jury at Final 2, proud, love everyone. Maybe not Nick Watson. Nick Watson can kick rocks, but you know, everyone's just so sweet, and I would love to get to know people more because I had a lot of fun despite me being rolled over by Mack truck basically every round until my booze.
Before we continue, I do have one little mini award I'd like to give out that wasn't posted. And it's for most enthusiastic podcast.
Ooh.
That award goes to drum roll.
Keaton.
No.
Mike.
One Miss Rachel Roth.
Oh.
Very productive.
We found a second Brian.
We found a second Brian.
All right, so I don't know whether it's
or maybe it's Madison. Who knows?
Shout out!
Oh, shout out to Madison.
Shout out to Madison.
Yes, always.
She looked so good yesterday. I can't even describe it. Literally.
All right, y'all. Well, it's 55 after, and I do have the votes. But first, no, not this guy. All right. So as some of you may know, Brandon got a punishment during the How Bad Do You Want It that reveals all of his votes public, and that does include his finale vote. So we will reveal Brandon's finale vote public first. The rest will be private until after the season. But Brandon voted for Eric to win YouTube Survivor 9. The second vote is for Zach R. The third vote for Eric. The fourth vote is for Zach R. That's 2 votes Eric, 2 votes Zach R, 7 votes left. Fifth vote, Eric. Sixth vote, Eric. It's 4 votes Eric, 2 votes Zach R, 5 votes left. Seventh vote, Eric. That is 5 votes for Eric, 2 votes for Zach R, and 4 votes left. The next vote, and the winner of YouTube Survivor 9, Quest of the 7 Keys, Eric.
Good job, Eric.
Congratulations, Eric. The vote was 9-2. Eric, do you have anything that you want to say?
I really, coming into the season, I had no idea what to expect. You know, as some of you guys know, on that swap tribe, I didn't even know what tribal council was like. I was more worried about what I was going to wear than who I was going to vote at that point. This experience is absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. Those who voted for me, those who voted for Zach, I completely understand. Zach, like I said, I'm extremely proud of both of us. I'm extremely proud of both of our games. We did that for Josh. We did that for everybody else back home, Tyler, Kellen, all of them. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Zach, you have anything you want to say?
Congratulations, Eric. You obviously deserve it. No one else I'd rather be sitting with. I told you, a lot during the season that didn't matter if I won, you won. If we were sitting here together, that was all that mattered to me. I know the games that we both played, and I am so glad that it's the 2 of us here, and you deserve it.
All right, and the votes, everyone voted for Eric, 9 people, except for 2 votes, which were the Legend and Zach D, who voted for Zach R. So,
the Zachs had to stick together.
The Zachs stuck together. If you are here with us live on YouTube, we are going to be cutting this right now. We are going to be doing a reunion, so everyone that is here, feel free to stay. We're going to be doing awards. We're going to be talking about the season. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff, but we're going to catch that on a separate recording. So I'm going to, does anything have anything they want to say? Last thing of the season you can say live.
I want to say something. It's very important. I spoke in the cast assessment, and it was only Alex there from Pride. Well, Tawny was there for a little bit. So we were talking about who we thought was going to win the game. Well, I just want to say Grace Yonsei picked the correct person, and her person she picked won the game.
I believe in the cast assessment. I'd have to go back and watch it. I believe I might have predicted this final too. I'm not 100% about that. I know I picked one of you 2 as my winner picks. I just don't remember which one of you I picked.
I just want to say, I said, I looked at all the applicants and I felt a different energy from Eric. And I said in it, this is my fucking winner pick. And damn, I just want to say that my winner pick ended up winning.
All right, well, we're going to cut the recording right here. Thank you all for a wonderful season. This has been one of my favorite seasons of YouTube Survivor to host, and I'm glad that you all were here for the journey. And just thank you all for a wonderful season. And yeah, congratulations, Eric. We are going to cut the recording.
It's still live.